Luna stood at the foot of Adrian's building, rain threading off the ends of her hair. She lifted her head toward that familiar window. The light was still on. 3 days. Adrian had not answered one call or replied to a single text in 3 days. Nothing like that had ever happened before. No matter how unreasonable or how loud her tantrums had been, he had always shown up to coax her the instant she blinked. Adrian, please open the door, okay? Her voice shook. I was wrong. I really was wrong. Rain soaked her lashes. She blinked and her vision blurred. In a rush, her mind dragged her back to the night 3 days earlier. It had been her birthday, and Adrian had promised a surprise. She pushed open the private room door with her heart fluttering, only to see Adrian standing beside her best friend Sophie. Sophie's hand resting on his forearm. In that instant, her world collapsed. So this is my surprise? She'd heard herself shriek. You and Sophie? Adrian's expression had changed instantly. He'd strode toward her to explain, but she'd shoved him away. Don't touch me, she'd screamed. I must have been blind to ever believe you. She could still see the gift he'd chosen so carefully lying shattered on the floor. The delicate charm bracelet snapped into pieces. She could still hear the cruel words she'd hurled at him, and the final look of despair in his eyes. Luna, he'd said quietly, so in your heart I'm that kind of man. Thinking about it now, she'd been a fool. If she hadn't found the broken links of the bracelet while cleaning today, if she hadn't, almost in a trance, fitted the fragments together, she would never have noticed the tiny inscription on the inner curve, to my forever love. Luna, forever. Little details flooded back. How Adrian always remembered her favorite flavors and set a steaming mug of brown sugar tonic beside her the moment her period started. How he'd queued in the freezing wind for 4 hours just to get the limited edition figurine she wanted. How he bought her fresh roses every week even though pollen made him miserable. And what had she given? She'd taken his devotion as her due and never once treasured it. Adrian, she choked. Please, give me a chance to explain. The light upstairs snapped off. Luna's heart lurched. She pulled out her phone, fingers trembling, and dialed the number she knew by heart. The number you have dialed is switched off. The cold mechanical voice sent ice through her veins. For the first time she understood. This time, Adrian was really leaving. The next day she received a letter. Luna, by the time you read this, I've already left the city. For years I told myself that if I just loved you enough, one day you'd feel it too. I was wrong. Love is not a one-man show. I wish you happiness. Adrian, the paper slipped from her fingers, tears blotting everything. At last she knew what she had lost. 3 years later, Luna stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of Riverdale, watching planes rise and fall. During those 3 years she had combed every city where Adrian might have gone, and found nothing, until today, when she finally heard he was coming home. Ma'am, your coffee. The barista's voice tugged her back. She took the cup, turned, and froze. A few yards away Adrian was pushing a luggage cart. He looked more mature, more assured. Success clung to him like a second skin. Beside him stood a gentle, lovely woman. In her arms nestled a child of about 2, chattering up at Adrian, who bent his head with tender eyes. Luna's coffee cup hit the tiles, brown liquid splashing her skirt. She didn't feel it. She simply stared as the family of 3 walked farther and farther away. Some people, once missed, are gone forever. She remained rooted, watching them recede. Her legs felt nailed to the floor. Apologies murmured behind her. Someone dabbed at her stained skirt, but she felt nothing. Adrian's smile cut her eyes, brightness that had once been hers, now belonging to another woman. Memory crashed over her in waves. She remembered university, Adrian always claiming the same library table just so he could glance at her. Each time she looked up she met those gentle eyes. She'd fake irritation and scowl, then duck her head to grin. She remembered being sick. Adrian had skipped classes to nurse her, fumbling with a pot of porridge and turning the kitchen into a disaster. She'd complained it was too salty, and still scraped the bowl clean. She remembered graduation day, colored confetti drifting through the air while Adrian hugged her tight and whispered, Luna, I'll love you forever, forever. What a cruel word. Miss, are you all right? A flight attendant asked in concern. Only then did Luna realize she was crying. She swiped at her tears and forced a smile. I'm fine, thanks. She turned to leave, but a familiar voice sounded behind her. Luna, her body locked. That voice, the one that had haunted her dreams, now terrified her. She wanted to flee. It really is you. Adrian had already walked up. Long time no see. Luna turned slowly and met Adrian's calm gaze. The heat she once saw there had cooled into courteous distance. Long time no see. Her voice trembled. The woman beside him studied them curiously. Adrian, who's this? A college classmate. he said lightly. Luna, this is my wife Serena, and our daughter Little. Serena smiled warmly. Hello. Luna felt her heart clench. Serena, such a beautiful name, as gentle as the woman who bore it, and she herself looked like a wrecked loser. Hi, she managed, forcing a smile. You two look perfect together. Little wriggled in her mother's arms, squealing, Daddy. Up. Adrian's face melted into that doting grin. Okay, Daddy's got you. Watching. Luna could barely breathe. Once, she had pictured this very scene, her and Adrian and a chubby child, only now the leading lady wore another face. We should go, Adrian said, glancing at his watch. Our flight boards soon. Wait, Luna blurted. Adrian. What did she want? To say sorry. I was wrong. I still love you. But meeting his calm eyes, she knew those words had lost all meaning. It's nothing, she said, lifting the corners of her mouth. Be happy. Adrian nodded. Thank you. You be happy too. Then, cradling his daughter and holding his wife's hand, he walked away. Luna stood rooted, watching their backs dissolve into the crowd. At last she understood. Some people, once missed, are gone forever. Just like that rainy year when she smashed more than a charm bracelet, she shattered Adrian's heart. Now, finally, she tasted the flavor of her own heartbreak. Her phone buzzed. It was Sophie. Did you find Adrian? Luna gave a bitter smile. Yeah. Back then she jumped to the conclusion that Adrian and Sophie were sleeping together. Looking back, it was absurd. If only she'd trusted him a little more. If only she'd cooled off and let him explain. But life doesn't hand out do-overs. She took one last look in the direction Adrian had gone, then turned and walked the opposite way. Some people are destined to become nothing more than memories. She wandered aimlessly through Riverdale, ears full of boarding calls, eyes full of travelers rushing nowhere. She felt trapped inside a giant maze with no exit. The phone vibrated again. Sophie's second text. Drink tonight? Luna stared at the screen for a long time, then answered, okay. She knew Sophie would ask about Adrian, and she knew she needed someone to talk to, even if that someone was the person who'd once fueled the misunderstanding. 2 hours later Luna sat in their usual booth at Blue, a tequila shot in front of her. Sophie sat across. Words stuck in her throat. Spit it out, Luna said with a tired smile. What do you want to know? You saw him? Then what? Luna tossed the liquor back. The burn clawed at her throat. He's married. Has a 2-year-old daughter. Sophie's face twisted. 2? Why? Nothing. Sophie lowered her gaze, spinning her glass. Just, time flies. Luna signaled for another round. Yeah. 3 years. Luna, Sophie said, suddenly gripping her hand. There's something I never told you. What? Back then, Sophie bit her lip. When you thought Adrian and I were together, it was because Stop. Luna cut in. Ancient history. No, let me finish. Sophie held on. That day I wanted to tell Adrian I was pregnant. Luna's fingers jerked. The glass nearly toppled. Come again? The baby wasn't Adrian's. Sophie rushed on. It was my ex's. I was terrified and needed advice. You walked in at the worst second and misread everything. The room tilted. The knot she'd carried for years unraveled into this ordinary human fear. Then why didn't you explain? I was scared. Sophie's voice cracked. Scared you'd tell everyone. Scared the school would find out. Later, I just withdrew. Luna remembered. Sophie had vanished from campus soon after. She'd chalked it up to guilt. I'm sorry, Sophie sobbed. If it weren't for me, you and Adrian might not have enough. Luna rubbed her temples. It was fate. Then she thought of Adrian's child, Little. 2 years old. The math felt off. Sophie? She seized Sophie's wrist. You're positive the kid is 2? Sophie blinked. Why? Adrian left 3.5 years ago. Luna's voice shook. If she's 2. That means he'd married less than a year after walking out. The realization squeezed her chest tighter. He'd gotten over her faster than she'd ever imagined. Luna, Sophie whispered, are you okay? Fine. She forced a smile. Just feel stupid. She recalled Adrian's final glance, calm, detached. He'd already moved on, long ago, while she'd stayed stuck on repeat. Let's go. Luna rose. I'll drive you home. Outside Blue the night air was cool. She tilted her head to the star-filled sky and remembered Adrian's old promise. Luna, see that star? It's Polaris. If you ever lose your way, look at it. Like Polaris. I'll always guide you home. Tonight she'd found her Polaris again, only the star no longer belonged to her. Back in her apartment at 2 a.m., Luna flicked on the light. The silence felt enormous. She drifted to the window, eyes on the distant sky. Polaris still glimmered, cold and remote. Something tugged at her memory. She hurried to the bookshelf and pulled down a dust-coated box. The relics she'd never dared reopen after Adrian left. Movie stubs, theme park tickets, love letters, and a broken charm bracelet. Trembling, she lifted the bracelet, reading the inner engraving. To my forever love. Luna. Forever. How long was forever? Anyway, she noticed a tiny bulge at the break. Squinting, she realized it was a microchip. Heart hammering, she fetched tweezers, coaxed the chip free, slid it into her laptop. A single video file popped up. Her fingers shook so badly she almost couldn't double-click. The clip was shaky, clearly covert. The lens pointed at a hospital bed where a pale girl lay. Luna gasped. It was her. Off-camera, Adrian's voice cracked. Doctor, there's really no other option? I'm sorry, a stranger replied. Luna's condition is rare. Long-term treatment is her only shot, but the cost. Money isn't the problem, Adrian broke in. I'll work overseas. The pay's triple. I'll do anything. Just save her. The image wobbled as the shooter adjusted the angle. Sophie. Luna now realized. Adrian. Sophie whispered. You're honestly doing this. Dropping out. Leaving the country? I have to, he answered. Steel in his voice. Luna needs the money. But, a bitter laugh. She can't know. Why not? She'd refuse treatment, he said. You know how proud she is. The footage cut to black. Luna sat frozen, tears streaming. So Adrian vanished to pay her medical bills. She fumbled for her phone and dialed Sophie. Sophie, she whispered. That video. Silence stretched. You watched it? Sophie finally asked. I was going to take that secret to my grave. What on earth happened? You collapsed in your junior year, and the workup showed a rare disease that needed long-term treatment. Sophie exhaled. Adrian took a high-paying overseas offer to cover your bills. But what? The company required a marriage certificate for the work visa. Sophie's voice shrank. So Luna's world spun. Adrian's sudden wedding had been to pay for her treatment? Why didn't anyone tell me? She almost yelled. Adrian forbade it. Sophie choked. He said if you knew, you'd refuse the therapy. He'd rather you hate him and stay alive. Luna slid to the floor. Her phone clattered away. She finally understood why Adrian's eyes had looked so calm. It wasn't detachment, it was release. He had traded his own happiness for her life. Outside, Polaris still glittered, yet darkness swallowed Luna. She had found the truth, and she wished she never had. Some truths cut deeper than lies. Curled on the ice-cold tiles, she cried without sound. Moonlight spilled in, bleaching a patch of floor. Her phone buzzed, a hospital reminder for tomorrow's follow-up. Ever since the illness had stabilized 3 years ago, she had checks every month. She wiped her face and forced herself steady. If she wanted the whole story, the hospital was the place to start. At dawn she walked into the ward, finished the routine labs, and tracked down Peterson. Dr. Peterson, she said, fighting to sound calm, I need to know who paid my bills 3 years ago. Peterson adjusted his glasses. Startled. You didn't know. Sorry. Adrian wired the money on the dot every month. Never missed once. Luna's heart clenched. Where is he now? He stopped the transfers last month. Peterson sighed. We've called, but the number's dead. Her fingers trembled. May I see the records? Peterson hesitated, then pulled them up. Row after row of transfers, each to the cent, stretching 3 full years. The last lump was larger than the rest. What's this one? Luna pointed. Prepayment for the coming year. Peterson explained. He said he'd be unreachable for a while. The room lurched. A month ago, exactly when Adrian had flown back. Doctor, she whispered. Am I cured? Peterson's face darkened. Luna. Actually, her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Luna, a man's voice asked. I'm Adrian's attorney. Her heart stuttered. Adrian instructed me to call if anything happened. Regrettably, he was on the flight that went down a month ago. The phone slipped and cracked on the tile. Peterson's voice came from miles away. Your illness isn't cured. You'll need lifelong meds. He always knew. So Luna heard nothing more. All she could see was Adrian's last gentle gaze. It hadn't been peace. It had been goodbye. He had traded his life for the rest of hers. Sunlight glared through the glass. Her universe crumbled. Now she understood why Adrian had named the baby Little, his final scrap of warmth for her. She never remembered the cab ride home. The lawyer's words looped in her skull, and Adrian's calm eyes floated before her. She opened her laptop and searched the crash reports from a month ago. There he was. One name among dozens. No survivors. Breath hurt. She remembered the sight of him at Riverdale with that family, his last walk through her world. Something sparked. She scrolled to the photo of Adrian's daughter clutching a teddy bear. Where was Little right now? She called Sophie. Sophie, she rasped. Where is Adrian's daughter? Silence hummed. Luna. Sophie sobbed. There's something you have to know. What? Little. Sophie drew a shaky breath. Little is your daughter. The phone hit the floor again. The room spun. Say that again. Before Adrian left. He had your embryo frozen. Sophie rushed on. He married in name only to give Little a family. He and Serena were never real. Luna crumpled. Tears blurring the world. Those eyes, Adrian's eyes, staring at her from the screen. All along he had guarded their child. Where is she? Luna whispered. With Serena, Sophie said. But, Serena's terminal. She might not make it. Sophie sniffled. Adrian asked me, if Serena dies, bring little to you. Luna's chest cracked open. That final, oversized hospital payment, his last act. That fleeting return, his farewell. He had arranged everything for her. For their little girl. Polaris gleamed beyond the glass. Yet night drowned her. She had the truth now, and she would trade it for any lie. Some truths hurt more than heartbreak itself. Outside Serena's ward, Luna stood at the pane. Inside, Little slept on the fold-out cot, arms locked around a scruffy teddy bear, Adrian's first gift to her. Sophie murmured, chemo yesterday, Serena's still out. Little hasn't left her side. Luna nudged the door, tiptoed to the cot. Moonlight painted the child's face. It was Adrian reborn, shaking. Luna brushed a knuckle over Little's cheek. Little's eyes snapped open, two dark pools staring straight at Luna. Are you my mom? Little whispered. Luna's tears spilled in an instant. How did you know? Daddy showed me your picture. Little pulled a faded photo from under her pillow. He said you were a beautiful mommy, but you were sick and couldn't come see me. Luna took the photo, her and Adrian's college snapshot. She was beaming. Adrian's arm rested gently on her shoulder. Daddy also said, Little's voice cracked, that when he turned into a star in the sky, you'd come get me. Luna hugged her daughter hard, sobs soaking Little's pajamas. At last she understood why Adrian had named their child Little. It was the last scrap of warmth he could leave her. Mommy, Little said suddenly, can you take me to see Daddy's star? Luna blinked. What star? Daddy said he'd become Polaris. Little pointed at the brightest point outside the window. He said as long as I look at that star, I'd feel him looking back. Luna felt her heart clench. She remembered Adrian's voice. Luna, see that star? It's called Polaris. If you ever lose your way, follow it. Like me, I'll always guide you home. He had planned everything long ago. All right, Luna said, wiping her face. Mommy will take you. She lifted Little and climbed to the hospital roof. The night breeze was cool. Little curled against her. Mommy, Little murmured, did Daddy love us a lot? Yes, Luna answered, throat thick. He loved us so much. Then why did he leave us? Luna held her tighter, eyes on the brightest star, because he loved us too much to stay. He'd rather turn into a star and watch over us forever. Little nodded. Small fingers bunched in Luna's shirt. Moonlight stretched their shadows long. Luna knew that from this night on she would live not only for herself, but for the love Adrian had left behind. Some love, she understood, never dies, even when it has to cross death itself. Early next morning Luna brought Little back to the ward. Serena was awake, gazing out the window. Auntie, Little wriggled free and ran to the bed. Look, I found Mommy. Serena turned, pale face softening. Good job, Little. Luna hovered at the doorway, unsure how to face the woman who, on paper, had been Adrian's wife. Come in, Serena said quietly. Let's talk. Luna sat as Serena gestured. Adrian told me everything, Serena whispered. Your past. Little's real story. Luna looked down. I'm sorry. Don't be. Serena shook her head. I should thank you for giving him such a lovely daughter. Luna's head snapped up. Adrian and I were married in name only. Serena gave a tired smile. He needed a wife for a work visa. I needed a husband to get my family off my back. Mutual convenience. Your illness. I've had it for years, Serena said calmly. When Adrian found out, he insisted on caring for me and Little. He called it his promise to you. Luna's heart twisted. Adrian had still been protecting them, in his own way. Luna, Serena grasped her hand. I won't last much longer. Little, she's yours now. Tears flooded Luna's eyes. Don't say that. You'll get better. Serena only smiled and pulled a starry envelope from beneath her pillow. Adrian left this for you. Luna's fingers shook as she opened it. A trust fund card and a letter. Luna, if you're reading this, I'm gone. The money in the account will take care of you and Little. Everything's legitimate. I know you'll hate me for making every decision alone, but Luna, forgive my selfishness. I'd rather you hate me and stay alive. Take care of our girl. Love you always. Adrian crushed the paper, vision swimming. She finally understood why Adrian had prepaid a full year of treatment during his last month. Why he had flown home at the end. He'd come to settle his affairs. For her. For their child. Mommy, Little tugged her sleeve. Look, Auntie's asleep. Luna turned. Serena's eyes were closed. Lips curved in peace. The monitor showed a flat green line. Luna hugged Little close. Tears dripping into her hair. From now on, she was all Little had. The morning sun blazed beyond the glass. Yet Luna felt the world collapsing. She finally grasped why Adrian had chosen the name Little. It was the last warmth he could leave her. 5 years later, Luna waited outside sunshine, watching Little skip toward her. Their daughter was in the senior kindergarten class. Her features echoed Adrian more each day. Mommy. Little hurled herself into Luna's arms. Today we drew stars. Luna knelt, wiping paint from her cheek. How did it turn out? I drew Polaris. Little held up the sheet proudly. Teacher said mine was the best. Luna stared at the lopsided star and heard Adrian again. Luna. That star is Polaris. If you're ever lost, follow it. Like me, I'll always guide you home. Mommy. Little tugged her hand. Did Daddy really turn into Polaris? Luna lifted her eyes on the brightest point of dusk. Yes, Daddy became the brightest star. He watches us every night. Can he see my picture? Of course. Luna kissed her forehead. He must be so proud. Back home, Luna found an unmarked envelope in the mailbox. A single star was sketched where a return address should be. Hands trembling, she opened it. One line inside, I see you're doing well. That's all I need. The scrawl was unmistakably Adrian's. Luna ran outside, searching frantically. The street was empty. Only the night wind answered. Far away, Polaris still burned steady. She clutched the letter, tears clouding her sight. She understood now. Some love never disappears. Not even across death. Like Polaris, it stays put, guiding every wanderer home.